Let me tell you all that we got here tonight on Dave's Gone By. We got, well, me, I'm Dave Lefkowitz. But I'm here every Sunday night for Dave's Gone By. We've got my guest co-host, Jeff Goodman. We've got some really cool new music from an artist named Ute Lemper, who is an internationally known singer and now a songwriter as well as an actress. And we've got Ute Lemper on the phone with us right now. Ute?
Yes.
How are you feeling, by the way?
Well, actually, I'm a little under the weather right now. It's hard with 3 kids. One of them is always sick, and my little one, my 3-year-old, has a super flu this week. Thank God it wasn't the swine flu.
I was going to say. Touch of the swine flu.
No, that wasn't. Thank God it was just a cold, but it hit me right away into the throat. And this morning I woke up and said, "Oh, okay. Thank God I don't have to sing today." So it hit me a little bit on the vocal cords today. But I guess it sounds a little rusty and crusty, but not bad.
Actually, not at all. You sound. I mean, I wouldn't know what you normally sound like on the telephone.
A little brighter, I would say.
So we have a somewhat dimmed Ute Lemper with us, which is
not so. Not. My mind is right up there, awake and on flame.
Well, let's see. We'll see. Let's test the flame of Ute Lemper's mind. I'm sure it's actually pretty darn bright. Let's start kind of at the beginning. The thing that may shock people a little bit who think of you as, I guess in quotes, a chanteuse or a Broadway star. I mean, let's also tell the audience that you're the winner of the Molière Award in France for playing Sally Bowles in Cabaret over there. You won an Olivier Award in London for playing Velma in Chicago over there. And in America, you won a 1994 Billboard Magazine Crossover Artist of the Year Award. So not too bad. Some nice international stuff going on. What people may not realize is that for all this kind of high-toned modern pop and all the Kurt Weill stuff that you do, musically you started as a punk rocker.
Well, to tell you the truth, that is actually not true, and this is kind of a rumor which was made up by some journalist who thought it would sound more interesting to call me a punk rocker than a funk rocker. It was actually in the 70s in Germany in those years. I had a rock band, but we did funk music, not punk music.
Oh.
One of you guys twisted this over the years and thought it would be more interesting to imagine me, with a funny hairdo and, pierced whatever I needed to be pierced with. But it wasn't. I loved the great music of the 70s, the funk, the R&B. And
so did you cover, like, James Brown and people like...
Well, yeah, anything from Al Jarreau to the Earth, Wind and Fire, Joe and Amma Trading, Joni Mitchell, just the great. It was really. I was a teenager still, and we just had fun making music and going out at night in the clubs and performing it, and it was of course a great and wonderful time in music writing and a great just a wonderful period of music. So it was just for us fabulous to just copy that stuff and for me to learn my craft in those years. But it was, the whole thing is a long journey, and if I go back all the way there was a lot of stuff after it. I mean, definitely for me as a young person in Germany growing up there, trying to find a musical identity, and I did find this later on when I became an actress with the German repertoire of the Weimar Republic, the 20s, the Kurt Weill, Bertolt Brecht, the Berlin cabaret songs, the political satire of those years, that was defining in those years my musical identity somehow. And from there on, then my many years in Berlin, of course, that was a Berlin throughout the years of the Cold War, still a very different Berlin than the Berlin today.
Actually, I do kind of want to break in there because in doing that kind of music from the Weimar era, did you have any kind of difficulty or discomfort from audiences doing that material in Germany, in Austria? Was it sort of like, let's forget everything that happened up until 1946? I mean, it's an ugly question, but...
Well, I mean, this was the music from the pre-war time, and most of the composers were the Jewish composers and those who were exiled by the Nazis, so it was the oppressed music by the Nazis. So this was something definitely worth it to revive and to go back to the pre-war history, because this incredible cultural explosion in the free rolling 20s, those 3 years before the Nazis censored everything, were, shattered. This period was shattered, and it, everybody left Germany, who was, creative in those years. And no, it was a strange time. I mean, definitely there were many questions unanswered in Germany in those years. 70s was absolutely, a time of a vacuum, cultural vacuum, and people did not want to speak about the past. And our generation never got the answers. We were very angry and very numbed at the same time about this, the absence of dialogue about the past. Yet in the 80s, things changed a little bit. And in 1987, when I recorded my first album, Ute Lemper Sings Kurt Weill, yes, I mean, Weill was not, Weill was appreciated in Germany. The Three-Penny Opera would be played in every state theater. Mahagoni Brecht was definitely a classic writer and was read in the schools, but it was not used as a tool to start a dialogue about the past, I would say. But internationally, when I started recording this music and suddenly it was played in all the universities, the German language was embraced somehow, and not, the stigma of the Nazi time a little bit was pushed away out of the way to rediscover this music. It was interesting that it really was suddenly in the 80s, late 80s, not yet before the fall of the wall, before 89. Suddenly the world was ready to talk about this again and to revive this pre-war music.
And why do you think that you personally connect with the works, especially of Kurt Weill, and also maybe it's also that you're so perceived as being connecting with it?
Well, definitely because I guess I am German. I'm German of a post-war generation, and it's kind of course, important to hear it in its original language, and to hear the European songbook, the German songbook, traditionally, and the way it was presented. And in those years, I was very young, and it was perfect for me, this repertoire. I felt a lot of sympathy and connection to it. Brecht, in those years, he wrote almost like an activist, like a politician, like a philosopher. It was about the rejection of fascism. It was about democracy. It was about corruption. It was about freedom of expression, freedom of sexuality. A lot of taboo areas, which are still taboo areas nowadays somehow, but yet which were lived out in these songs. And I felt great as a young German to sing these songs. It was something to bite your teeth and to feel spiritful about. And yes, I mean, you can carry that repertoire somehow into the new millennium. I mean, now that I'm older, I still enjoy very much. It's very entertaining and very, very rich, this repertoire. And it's something which doesn't exist somehow today. So it's wonderful to live in this niche of music and to keep it alive and to reinvent it with new arrangements, to keep it musically contemporary, and yet as a message and as a mission, it still is an everlasting and eternal mission for me to keep this alive.
Wow. Keeping the music alive is Ute Lemper, who has a new album out. It's called Between Yesterday and Tomorrow. We heard one sorry?
Sorry, I'm just clearing my throat.
Oh, that's an extra track on the Blu-ray version. You can hear Ute clearing her throat live for us. And it's going to be released on May 5th, so it's this week. Congratulations. Available on iTunes and Amazon and all that kind of cool stuff. You can get to it from your website as well, I think, utelemper.com.
Yeah, it's actually, the label is an Exos, and you can get the hard copies, I guess, in Barnes & Nobles. And, there's not much record stores anymore nowadays, but
right.
Whoever sells them probably will sell that too.
So one thing that also may interest people about this record is that most of the songs were either written or co-written by someone named Ute Lemper. Yes,
actually, all of the songs, except the bonus track, are written music and lyrics by me, and I've been doing this for a while. I was inspired by the album I did in the year 2000, which was
Punishing Kiss.
Punishing Kiss,
right.
Where I was singing the songs of Tom Waits, Elvis Costello, Nick Cave, The Divine Comedy. It was suddenly that I was in a more contemporary area of music, but all those songwriters yet have been inspired somehow by Brecht and Weill and the whole, a tradition of writing more retata ballads, songs which are telling stories about people who go through hell and then survive and somehow have the last laugh and laughter. Definitely the Murder Ballads by Nick Cave are very much influenced by by Mac the Knife and the Threepenny Opera Murder Ballad.
If we end up going long tonight, I'll probably play Little Water Song off Punishing Kiss, because that's a great performance. One of my favorite.
Yeah, it's a great song, and I mean, I was honored that these guys would actually write these songs for me. Sent them over in a little cassette. You know, in those years, 2000, there's still some cassettes were there. I remember playing the little cassette by Nick Cave on my cassette recorder, and it was a great collaboration.
Did you ever get to meet him, or Elvis Costello, or Tom Waits?
Yes, I met everyone. Yes, not at the time of the recording, but later on, or some of them I had met before.
So what are they like? I'm always curious about this kind of thing. What was it like working musically, or just sort of shaking hands with a Nick Cave?
Well, he's a kind of a dark personality, and. You know, that was a very short meeting we had, and it was the more important was actually the meeting over the phone we had. The vis-a-vis meeting was very short. It was after a concert and very diluted to lots of people around.
Oh, yes.
But the conversation we had over the phone, I was in London, I think he was in Australia. After he had sent the cassette, was really just speaking about the story, how to arrange the song. He gave us suggestions, and it was very interesting. He wanted me to stay true to the story, to not make a compromise to contemporary music, not make a rock version out of it, but stay rather almost classical with it, with the string arrangement, and stay truthful to where I come from. And that was a very wonderful conversation we had. It was really about the music, and just like great, two professionals talk about, making the music as great as possible, and the arrangement.
And since we're talking about other folk songs, and I'm definitely going to play that song when we end this conversation. I've literally got the CD in front of me, so we'll play Little Water Song when we've done talking. But meeting Tom Waits, who's arguably the greatest living working songwriter that we have right now. Well, Dylan's still around, obviously, but and so is Stephen Sondheim, but he's up there. So what was he like?
Oh, I mean, I just love Tom Waits. He's so odd and so unique. We met after he had a concert in the Beacon Theater here in New York. Mm-hmm. The Beacon Theater is right around where I live. I live on the Upper West Side, and it was great. I mean, he started the show late, 20 minutes late. He came out with a megaphone and started his first song walking through the audience. And I heard he had a lot of stage fright, but you couldn't see it on stage. He just did his thing, and it was a great setup with the musicians. And after, I mean, he's totally down to earth, totally unpretentious, and he very much cared about the fact to say that the song he had sent to me, "The Pot You Throw Away," was a collaboration with his wife, Catherine, and he very much enjoys that collaboration, and wanted to make sure she's written on the credits, and he just is open. He loved the arrangement. It was a very cool arrangement produced by Hal Wilner at the time, and but that's this is all old stuff. It was 9 years ago. Yeah. It was just great meeting him, and I just. He worked a lot in Germany too. He did productions of The Black Rider at the Schauspielhaus at Hamburg at the time. Very interested in theater, and he was involved with the German theater community. So I would love to talk about.
Well, I don't mean to push all of what you've done, or keep going back to the past. Obviously, we want to talk about your new stuff, but I do have one more celebrity/artist question for you, because I didn't realize you had a role in Prêt-à-Porter, the Robert Altman film. I don't know how. Unfortunately, I don't recall how large or small your part was, but what was it like being in a Robert Altman film?
Well, that was an extraordinary production. It was 1994 in Paris, and the American name of the movie is Ready to Wear, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
And I had met him a few times before, and at the time, the movie was pushed further on, postponed a couple of times, and I was supposed to play an agent, a model agent in the movie, and then it was moved ahead, and 9 months later, when the movie started, I said, well, as a matter of fact, I'm pregnant now. So, and when this movie, well, actually, my scenes I was actually 8 months pregnant. So ready to pop, and he said, okay, I'm going to just write you a different part. You're a pregnant model in the movie, and at the end of the movie, you have to come out on the catwalk and naked.
Naked, right.
As the naked high pregnant wife and bride. So it was extraordinary production because every movie star was in it from
well, I think Kim Basinger was in there.
Kim Basinger and Julia Roberts and Tim Robbins. And
well, you didn't get to see all those people naked, by the way, just in case you're hurrying to your Netflix to put that up. But you do apparently get to see you 8 months pregnant.
Yes.
What was that? I mean, were you nervous or were you just like, you're European? So
well, I thought actually I was very beautiful being pregnant. I thought it was extraordinary state of the art to be a pregnant woman. It's just such a wonderful, rich time of life. It goes by so quickly. I mean, I was pregnant with my son, who, by the way, turns 15 next week.
Yay!
And he's 6'1" now. So, I
well, thank God he wasn't 6'1" then. That would have been really painful.
Yeah, no, it was. I felt
four legs walking down the runway.
What I didn't like to show was, my breast in those years, and I had the big bouquet of flowers in front of my breast. But the rest I thought was the most beautiful thing, the big belly, and I had no problem with that whatsoever. So that was not a big deal for me.
And working with Altman, was he crusty? Was he lovable? Was he a majesty type, or was he just sort of a fly on the wall? What was his modus operandi?
He had a big authority. He knew exactly what he was doing. He had, these were big scenes with lots of actors on the set, almost like Peter Greenaway. When I worked with Peter Greenaway, did the same way. He just disappeared in his room, but he had before that organized like a stage director every single part of an aspect of the scene with multiple parallel actions and very specific. People knew specifically what they needed to do, where to go, and he was just a great visionary. And he saw the room was filled with people, and everyone had exactly their purpose and their direction. And then he came out at the end, and the camera. There were 3 or 4 cameras shooting at the same time, and he then at the end, put it all together as a master.
Wow. Speaking of directing and stage work, I'm kind of wondering how much time and effort you have to put into, quote unquote, your instrument at this point. Like, not only are you a singer, but if you're in Chicago, you've still got the body. You're a dancer as well. So, how much time do you spend, if any, taking vocal lessons or doing warm-ups daily, or how much do you spend on the body, doing dance or yoga or whatever else it is you might do to keep yourself up?
Well, on the body, I don't spend that much time anymore. I used to be definitely a dancer, and for 30 years I've been in the ballet classes and keeping the body fit and staying on. But really, what keeps you fit the most is just doing concerts, doing your performances, just being in the routine, being fearless, and feeling like you're in your living room when you're on stage. That means really being as free as you possibly could be as an artist, but of course that means that you have to have your instrument under total disposition. Control is not such a great, but disposition. The instrument has to go there where you want it to go. And nowadays when I do concerts, I definitely, my instrument, my vocal cords are, and my voice, my projection, my imagination, my improvisation, everything has to be, to my disposition, and so I can just have fun. And that's the main purpose of my concerts is also to give me fun, to just enjoy it, to these 2 hours at night with my musicians, this ping-pong game back and forth, to create situations on stage with, like, where I can get goosebumps myself. My hair stands up my neck because I'm so excited. Something is so truthful, and the stories I tell are so, purposeful and large that everyone in the audience can identify with it. And some of them are very sad, some of them are very entertaining and fun and provocative. But it's a great ride in a concert situation. And I have my record release concerts here in New York, and the Poisson Rouge, the club downtown, on the 9th of June. For anyone who wants to, see these new songs performed.
It's 158 Bleecker Street, Le Poisson Rouge, the red fish. Quite an interesting name for a place. It's I didn't realize this. It's where the Village Gate used to be.
Right.
So it's pretty easy to spot. It's right near the West 4th Street subway. June 9th is when you'll be doing the New York kind of album release concert for it.
Yeah.
So, and here's a question for you. That it's a cliche question that is asked of theater people and musicians, I guess, all the time. I wonder if you'll give the very, very typical answer, because it's probably cliche true. But the difference between New York and American audiences in performing for them as opposed to performing in England or in Europe, are they more reserved there, and our New York or American audiences more like, yay, and much more vocal and vociferous?
Well, first of all, the New York audience has its own identity, and the New York audience is not the mainstream American audience. The New York audience is just absolutely fantastic.
Oh, sure, bugger us up.
I just, wherever, it's Lincoln Center, or is it Symphony Space, or is it, the Rose Hall, the new Jazz at Lincoln Center, or whether you go to the cabaret clubs from the Carlisle to the Feinstein, or whether you go down to Joe's Pub, which is my favorite place to perform in the downtown audience, because people are crazy and open and ready to play and ready to go for it. The different setups of audiences, downtown is really the most lively audience, I would say, but highly educated, highly international audience. They speak multiple languages. I can really perform in any language, the French, the German, the Yiddish, the Arabic, the Spanish, the Italian. I mean, people just totally are international here, and it's a wonderful place to take people here in New York on to a European journey. That's what they get with me, of course. It's the European songbook with, excerpts of the American songbook, and then my songbook too, and my life with the many chapters, the many musical chapters, my years in Berlin, my years in London, my years in Paris, with the journey here to New York. So it's a whole journey. A lot of people here can feel the sympathy with my journey, because they have taken the same journey somehow from somewhere in the world, from some place in the world, or maybe if it wasn't them, it was the generations of their parents. So I love performing here, but yet, there's many other territories. The South American audience is great too. I love performing in Buenos Aires, Argentina, in Brazil. It's just it's just unbelievable. People are so out there with their passion and their warmth and their appreciation. The Mediterranean audience are fantastic too. Spain, Greece, Portugal, Italy. And then it gets a little cooler when you get to
Antarctica.
No, when you get to the German, the Holland, the Scandinavian, the French, the northern French audiences. Not cooler in the way that, but just more intellectual, I would say. They're just more brainy the way they respond. And it's funny, in Germany, they don't want me to do too much of the German stuff. They actually like a lot of the contemporary stuff, the hip stuff. They don't want to dig too much in the history, yet the Mediterraneans want a lot of the German, the old traditional, the nostalgic music. They don't want too much English-speaking repertoire. It's interesting. In London, the London audience, I would say, is about the same. I would definitely do the same show in New York as I would do in London, as a big metropolitan city. And then you can, it all depends. I do a little bit choose here and there what I do in a specific place. Now, I just performed in Turkey, in Istanbul, and I wouldn't do my Yiddish songs there, for example.
No, wait a minute, why not?
No, and I would be careful with my jokes, too, about the first ladies. Usually I do political jokes, but, the first lady in Turkey wearing headscarf, I had to be very careful.
Right.
I was warned before the show not to go too far.
You should have been gutsy and done some Yiddish songs in Turkey. Go ahead, Well,
I had to pick and choose. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to do, and as a matter of fact, that Yiddish medley I do, it's a 15-minute medley, so I chose not to do it because there was lots of other stuff I wanted to do.
Okay. Well, next time, when you go back to Turkey, I challenge you, I dare you to give them a little bit of my Yiddish Mama.
But in Israel, I do perform the Arabic stuff. You know, I was a little bit more gutsy there because in Israel I know people are very open, and it was you know, interesting to do it there. But I just didn't want to go there.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Now, speaking of where you're going, we're talking with Ute Lemper, and we just have another moment or two with her, and we want to thank her so very, very much, not just for appearing on our show, but braving a cold, you know, on a late Sunday night to talk with us and to be so interesting and fun. But what do you think the journey is going to be for, say, the next 10 years for you? Is it going? Obviously, the concerts will continue, but do you see any other avenues or directions that your life and career may take, personally or professionally?
Well, you know, no, I don't make too many plans. I mean, I enjoy the way I'm, you know, the way it's going, and my aim, my ideal in front of me is actually the journey I'm taking. I don't have any thing great in front of me what I have to achieve. I enjoyed so much recording this album. These songs I have written, there are passages, songs about memories of Berlin, a song about September 11 here, a song about the Middle East, a song about my life and love, and you know, the journey I'm taking with chapters of my life. And recording it here in Chelsea in Manhattan with my partner as a music studio down here. So it's just you know, that's what I want to do, and I enjoy my concerts with my orchestras, and there's, you know, I never say no. Maybe I'll be on Broadway again. I have to see. I don't especially enjoy performing 8 times a week, but you know, I would never say no. And
but I do have to. I want to step in there. You mentioned your partner running a studio. Is that a personal life partner, or just a business partner, or a? Because I know you've got 3 kids. I don't know what.
Yeah, it's my. He's, you know, we do everything together. He's the father of my kids, and and my, you know, he's the drummer and bass player in my band, and he's my co-producer of my album. And
you're not going to marry him? You're not going to make
it legal? And
my
best friend, no, we don't want to get. We were both married before we met each other, about you know, a long time ago, and the divorce was a tiring and exhausting and a very sad thing. So we didn't need to get married this time. We just live as if we would be married, and we have definitely run a ship through the ocean of life with our 3 kids and our work and our music and our passion, and you know, we don't need the paper, but we truly love each other. Yeah. It's a good thing.
What a sweet, glowing way to end the interview. That's lovely. That's great to hear, and it's great to hear you talking to us and singing for us as promised. See, I was gonna play Tango Ballad from Punishing Kiss, because I think that's just such a wonderful duet, and Neil Hannon's voice is great. But you talk so much about Little Water Song, and that's such a special number. I'm going to play that one instead. So this is because it's a kind of a creepy song, especially for a midnight on late Sunday night, early Monday morning, as we are here on WGBB Freeport. But gotta hear this song. It's just you know, hang on to something, hold something tight, because it's a little scary here. The song of this woman. This woman played and sung and acted by the delightful and so talented Ute Lemper. Please get her new album when it's released in 3 more days. No, on Tuesday. Between yesterday and tomorrow, available in all normal places and abnormal places where you'll get CDs and downloads. And see her on June 9th at Le Poisson Rouge, 158 Bleecker Street, between Sullivan Street and Thompson Street, in the Village, where the Village Gate used to be. For more information, go to utelemper.com. That's UTE Lemper, as any normal person would spell Lemper.com. Ute Lemper, all I can say is thank you so much for being
Thank you, Dave.
Open and delightful, and welcome back to the neighborhood anytime.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dave. It was wonderful talking to you.
You too.